Yo, welcome to the Wood Nickel Show. I'm your host, Roscoe. This segment is brought to you by Kelly Real Estate Group, a property and management firm servicing the tri-state area and abroad. They're located at 325 Chestnut Street, Philadelphia, PA, and can be reached at 267-639-1256. Again, that number is 267-639-1256. All right, so today I have here for you a prominent guest, an influential figure in Philadelphia. We got Mr. Fahreed Cheatham. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling good, man.
All right, now, man, we're glad to have you on the show. Tell us what it's like growing up inside the city.
Man, North Philly, born and raised, 28 from Berks. Typical situation, pop gone, single parent, mom dukes. Just pretty tough, man, trying to raise a single boy by herself. No brothers and sisters. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, that sounds pretty rough, man, growing up, especially back then. So what were some of the obstacles that you experienced?
Dad was never around. On the streets, running the streets. My mom was cool. She did the best she could up to about 10, 11. Then she got addicted to drugs, and then not having no brothers and sisters, that's what made it pretty tough. But I had basketball to get me by. Played football, basketball, whatever to keep me busy. Then you got the streets, drug dealers, violence, all that type of stuff. So I figured, me, I was a basketball player at heart, football player at heart, so I just played football as much as I can. But once Mom Dukes was addicted, it wasn't much I could do.
So how did you stay focused on basketball with all those obstacles?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. I just loved playing the sport so much. I would just go hang with friends that played. My friends in the inner city on my block, they were doing things illegal and doing nonsense. So I would go out of the city a lot just to hang with kids that did what I did, and then that's how I kept myself busy.
I see you went and found that. That sounds like well. So what was your favorite court to play on?
I'd say back in the day, I'd say 33rd and Diamond, 25th and Diamond, Hank Gaddison and RIP. That's where I got a lot of the battle tested out there from a lot of the players. Not being from the neighborhood, you had to prove yourself more. Sometimes you have to fight just to get a run, so forth. And like I said, not having no brothers and sisters, it was like you had to fend for yourself. So it developed a chip in me, chip on my shoulder, a fire. And I was able to, take that everywhere I went.
What do you mean by battle tested?
To be quite candid, I would get jumped, rolled on sometimes because I was out in the neighborhood, told not to come back or it would continue. But it was either go home around guns and drugs or go fight and then eventually play basketball once you get through the cycle of fighting. So I just chose to fight, play basketball, and earn their respect. And that's what happened. I earned their respect, and then they started welcoming me to play more.
So you ain't really playing on the courts in your neighborhood. You went all around the city a lot.
Yeah.
So what were the leagues that were prominent in the city when you were growing up?
Good question. I'd say 16th Street, Hank Gathers, Sunny Hill. I think I mentioned 33rd and Diamond. Baker League. A lot of those leagues, they had like top of the line talent in the city. So if you weren't like Rasheed Wallace and Kobe Bryant, you wasn't getting no run.
Right.
Unfortunately, I was below them. I wasn't as good as them. So again, I had to work to get some time on the court. So that's what I had to do.
What kind of work you put in? When you say work, be more specific for anybody young that's watching. What kind of work you put in?
Practice. The chip on your shoulder that comes from being underestimated, doubted, not thought much of. The youth these days, I feel like I can relate to what they're going through a lot, and that's what I had to deal with. And then, add to the fact you don't have no parents or no brothers and sisters that come and support you. It could be tough, but like I said, it depends on how bad you want it. I wanted it so bad that I was able to ignore a lot of those challenges that these kids can't ignore, whatever.
So where can you go right now in the city to find the best rec?
Right now, it's the Rump. The Rump is the place to play at right now. At LaSalle, started off at a regular rec gym at Mallory. Then it developed and got bigger, and now it's at Arcadia and LaSalle. NBA players come in, top of the line talent, big audience, draws a big crowd. I would say that's the best place to play at right now. You don't get no better than the Rump right now.
The Rump got some big names in it, though.
Yeah,
some big names in it.
Definitely.
So talk to me about the average Joe. So where can you go just if you in the city and you try to get some rec? Where can you go?
Right now, it's a lot. Philly's doing pretty good though with the time. Considering COVID, post-COVID, you got a lot of leagues now MMBL, my man Daoud, commissioner of that. We got 20 from Tasca. Mooney, Scoop Davis run that. A couple of Myers, just to name a few. You got the Alumni League. So it's a lot of places you can play at right now. So Philly's doing pretty good. We wasn't doing too good a few years ago, but now we getting there.
Yeah, it seemed like out of the pandemic, dudes was working out.
Yeah,
a lot of dudes came out hitting a lot.
Yeah.
So, what part of because you named a lot of different leagues, and that's a lot of different, right? Like you named 20, that's South Philly. You named Myers, that's a whole different parts, right?
Right.
So, what part of the city has the best players?
I'm biased a little bit. I'm from North Philly, and saying that to close the league, they have a great league going on for young talent, young adults. They're located in North Philly. I think they're currently playing in JCC now. They were at the King Center, but I would go with North Philly. Southwest is like right there behind us, I believe, and then South Philly. They may not agree with that, but that's the order in which I'm sticking with right there. North Philly, Southwest, then South Philly.
I mean, you got to show Southwest some more. They got the Southwest Philly floater, right?
Yeah.
That's right out of there. So you can't not see that. So let's dig back a little bit. Coming out of Philly back then, who was the hottest high school back then?
I would say it was a lot of them. It was about 4 or 5 of them, but you're talking grads, Ben Franklin, Frankfurt, West Philly with Don Feaster and Overbrook. But the hottest, I mean, you can't deny, I hate saying it, but it's grads. I mean, they had Mark O'Connor, Jared Kears, Meatball, Lenard Stewart before them. The list goes on about Shea Wallace, Mary McKee, Black. The list goes on and on. So I'd have to say grads, even though it bears me to say that, but grads and got to mention Mansion up there with Maurice Rice and Flip Murray, Kevin Ford, you know that.
That bull stands.
Yeah, definitely.
So now, for sure, those teams were hot back then. Got the Alumni League. So tell me now, who's the hottest Alumni League team right now?
Right, that's another good question. Right now, currently, is Germantown. Germantown, they undefeated, just had their last game of the season, 8th and final game, 8-0. So they're the hottest team right now. The hottest, as far as like between all 8 seasons, it would have to be the Chester team from season 7. What they did that season, they took on all challenges that season. They brought Chester crowd over to Philly. It was good to see. Shout out to Mo Nelson, Cranberry, Raleigh Jefferson, Ray Strickland, and all them guys. Man, they put on a show for the city, and they brought their fans. That was the most important thing, was they showed unity with Chester and just showed how much they love basketball. So that was good to see.
Shout out to you for that, though, right? Like, a lot of these things that's happening in the city around the Alumni League is because you got dudes staying healthy, right? Like, people worked out during the pandemic to be ready for this. I heard the buzz through the city, right? Like, it's bringing community, folks coming around, being together. That's a big deal, so shout out to you for that. I also recognize you got some type of ranking system where play like 5-star. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I talked about my upbringing with basketball. So what I've always liked with basketball players is acknowledgement. I know playing basketball my whole life pretty much it was a fight, a battle just to be acknowledged. And even if it's just by your peers, you want to be acknowledged for the work you put in.
Right.
So being a commissioner now, I want the players to know, hey, look, when I'm watching the games, I'm taking notes, I'm watching. Like, you don't have to worry about that here. So I figured if I start a top 25 5-star program where I've had scouts and coaches inbox me, asking me about players. And I love that part. I would love to connect players with the opportunity to talk to an agent and, possibly have a career out of it. As well as that, I dealing with agents that were shiesty, wasn't out for your best interest, looking to make some money off you. And I had agents that were genuine, but they just couldn't get the contract signed. So with that being said, I'm like, how could I connect the two and know I'm coming from a good energy with it, with the players trusting me? So I figured if I start a 5-star program, the coaches will see who I feel is worthy of a 4-star, 5-star, so forth. And when they ask me about a player, they can ask me based off what they see from the 5-star rating. And then I can give them my analysis on it and let the player know, hey, listen, you got to work on this, and you could possibly have a connect with an agent. So I thought adding that to the league would be great for the players, good for agents to want to contact me, and for me to be honest with players on how they're viewed from these agents.
Have you any traction from there yet? Any players getting any buzz? Any agents contacting you? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with Deontay Christmas, pretty household name in Philly.
Yeah, for sure.
Temple stud, former NBA player. I had an agent post NBA career of his. I had an agent hit me up asking me about Deontay. I shot Deontay a text letting him know what was going on. Deontay was aware of it. He thanked me, and then he was already highly sought out after, so he respectfully declined the guy's offer, but it was pretty substantial to what you would want for an offer.
Right.
I know a few players would have took the deal that this man was offering, but Deontay being such a high, caliber player, he didn't have to take that offer. But it was good just to be able to say, hey, Deontay, you want this offer? He said, no, I'm good, thanks, fire, and so forth, so forth.
That's pretty impressive, man. You got your hands in a lot of different pots, man. So I mean, that's pretty beneficial for dudes who might not have gone to college, right, and still can get a look for overseas. So tell us about your college career. Where'd you go?
So I went to 2 schools. I went to Cheatham University first, and then I transferred to Lincoln. Shout out to Lincoln. I played with a class. I played with Anthony Frazier, called AKA Ghetto, Pooh Evans, Jamal Shaw. These are all Americans. So Dwayne Wade. Devin Wade. So I played with a lot of top talent. It was a fun ride. I learned toughness from them that I was able to bring from high school to them. A few of them guys was older than me, so I got the freshman treatment, but it toughened me up. And then when Anthony Ghetto came along as a freshman, we both were going at it. We got a little chippy, but later we became friends, and I decided to move on to Lincoln University. And then when I moved on there, my role there I was pretty much the leader there. And so I just took what I learned from Cheney and took it to Lincoln.
That sound like you got your stripes, man. Like
you
got your stripes.
You
got your stripes. So through all of that, did you played professionally too, also, right?
Yes,
Tell us about that.
I played professionally here in the States. It's a lot of shenanigans with that, and that's another big thing I like to talk about with players in my league to help them prevent them from falling into that hole. I learned the long way, the hard way about how that works. Agents, they want 10-15% of your money and stuff like that, and I needed the urge to go over there just to consider myself a pro. Once I learned the numbers, and I won MVP of the EBA, which is like a semi-pro league. Some teams pay, some teams don't. I had to roll the dice, so I was just playing in the inner city a lot, and once I got this opportunity, I was able to play in front of other coaches and sports writers, across the country, whatever. So that helped me a lot. Once I was acknowledged as MVP, back-to-back champion, I started getting calls and offers from agents. And then once I learned the number game from that, I was fortunate enough to have my degrees in college, so I didn't have to take those chances that other young players that don't finish their degree take. And, the numbers they were offering me just wasn't beneficial for me to do that. I mentioned my mom earlier, but I was financially responsible for my mom, and being, like I said, being only me to help take care of her, it just wasn't wise for me to go over there for the little bit of money they was offering. So I stayed here in the States, was able to make money, play the game I love, and keep my career, watch over my mom. It was wiser for me to do that. And that's what I did, and it worked out for me because I was able to stay here in the States and play professionally.
And that was the mature pride decision, right? Like, you ever spend time thinking, the dreadful, like, what if?
Right. I came out of college, I was 21, and that's pretty early for college. You're really supposed to come out around 22, 23, but I came out a little early, unfortunately, and then working with my career and everything in the education field, I come to find out I love working with kids, and so I got so addicted to my job, and the kids was looking forward to working with me. I grew a new passion working with children, and so it was just like, man, my own upbringing, coming from where I came from, now I get to help kids, I was passionately attached, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, I love ball and I love working with kids, and so it got tough to make a decision, but ultimately I decided to pursue more basketball than the education. So once I got caught up in the education piece, I got later called up around 28, 29, and I learned then the game of which you probably would have learned. I would have learned at 21, 22. So if I was 21, 22, I would have took that deal that they offered me at 28, 29. You get what I'm saying? So just to give you an idea, it was about like $1,500 a month they were offering. It's like, that's what you're supposed to take when you initially go over there. 15 to 2,000, agent gets 1,500. It's like, that's a sham. You get what I'm saying? So But if I was 20, 21, I would have took that 2,000, 3,000, whatever, just to get over there. You get what I'm saying? But 28, 29, making more than that, I didn't need to force or rush that. So it was a blessing, I guess, in disguise, because who knows what would have happened.
Right. I mean, get to play the game for fun. So
Right.
I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the basketball. Let's take it back.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to tell me, when you were playing back then, who gave you the biggest headache? Who was the person when you were on the court? You see this dude, like, I know I'm about to get my money's worth, probably get cooked.
Right.
Who the one you had to tighten up for?
Right. I'd say this, and I swear I'm being modest when I say this. So back to high school, because I get a lot of stigma from that, from playing or whatever. I didn't get much time in high school, but the reason I didn't get much time was because I was playing with Flip Murray, Kevin Forney. If you know Flip Murray, NBA talent, 10, 15 years, so forth, so forth. Kevin Forney, D1 player, All-American, all that. So they both were my position. They both were guards. So I couldn't get no time in high school, but people thought, since I wasn't playing much for high school, I guess they thought I wasn't that good. So I kept the fire, kept playing, and in high school, me and Flip would go at it, but Flip was so much above me, I just felt he would look down on me, and so I wanted him to realize I was here. I wanted to be acknowledged, like I said before. So my battles was with Flip, even if he didn't know it, but we went at it in practice a few times, and I loved it because it made me tough, you get what I'm saying? So it was more of other guys I would see that were scared of him, and I'm more like, bring it, because I wanted it, you know what I mean? It was like, if he scored on me, I would learn from it, not, be more timid. And I think once he sensed that, he liked it, and we both challenged each other. He challenged me in a way where I had to keep improving to be respected by him. And I challenged him in a way where, yeah, you're better than me, but you still gonna have to work to score. So I wouldn't say he would bust me up. It was more like the respect, and I wanted his respect, and it drove me crazy until I felt I needed him to acknowledge me. And that's where I took it from there on out. When I went to college, Poole Evans and Jamal Shaw, All-Americans, a few years older than me, but even though they were older, they had that chip. They were from Chester. They had that Philly chip where they're going to run on you if you just lay there. So it was like, hey, listen, I'm not just here to be walked on. So again, I wanted to be acknowledged, and I wanted their respect. And it helped me in the long run, because once I got from under them and I was on my own out of college, it was on. I wanted blood. Whoever's respected the most, whoever's the best player, point me to him. Mm-hmm. And that was the chip on my shoulder that I had that kept me, fiery throughout my career.
Now, did you ever talk to Flip years after?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I'll say this on record. I don't know if Flip still will acknowledge. He's done it before to people where he said, like, yo, this boy's still trying to go at me.
Right.
And I told him, I meant that. I said, as long as I ever see you in a pair of shorts, I'm gonna always go at you, Flip. And it's out of respect.
Right.
It's not a thing where it's like, I don't, respect what he did. I would tell people when I was in college, whenever someone brings him up to me, you ain't getting no time in high school, and I'm asking, like, well, who did you play behind? You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't naming an NBA player, like, you can't come at me about not playing much. Cause
where did Flip go?
Flip went to Strawberry Mansion.
Where'd you go?
I went to Strawberry Mansion.
Right, so
yeah.
that's like a daily thing right there.
Yeah, every day in practice we went.
Right.
I would cheat the plays. I would know the plays because coach was teaching us the plays, and I would cheat them just to make him more mad. If you're supposed to go around and pick and square out to the wing, right, you're supposed to do it. If you ain't do it, I'm gonna cut the screens to take the steal, even though I know I'm supposed to go around with you. You know what I mean? I would do little things to get under his skin, and coach knew that, and that was where my defensive scheme came from. Mm-hmm. If you didn't take pride in defense, you get cooked. So that was.
Which side of the ball were you better on, offense or defense?
Growing up, I'd say up to about 22, 23, I was better defensively, and then about 23, 24, when I was from under all the people that had a higher name than me, I was seeking blood. So offensively, that's when I turned it up.
Yeah. All right. I like that. I like that. So let me ask you a question now. So, did you ever run into a person, or do you know anybody now who kind of seeks you now the way that you were trying to go after Flip?
Yeah. So what happened with that is those that know me know I was dubbed as the most hated player in Philly for a while, and a lot of it I caused because I would say a lot of stuff and ask people, who do you think is the best player? And they'd say their names, and when I played against them, I'll let the crowd know this guy ain't messing with me. But I did it because I wanted the attention and I wanted the acknowledgement. And with that, the more the hated I became, the more I won. I let the people know, hey, listen, I backed up what I said, and I'm willing to back it up again. Unfortunately, I played with vets like Kaida Williams, Antoine Brockinson, Rasheed Brinkley. Those guys I respected, so those are the guys I wanted. You know what I'm saying? And then once they faded out, meaning like they were older than me, and I became the guy, so to speak, in the city, fortunately, I just won. But my work ethic is what got me where I got. And then once people sought me, I just wanted it. You wasn't going to hunt me. You know what I'm saying? Because I was already hunting. So I respected the game. I put in the work. I wasn't, a talker and didn't walk the walk type of thing. And social media came about around like 2010, 2012. Right. That was probably my best friend at the time, because then I could post on social media. Hey, listen, where the wreck at? Where's such and such? I'm here now.
Other people can see it and all that.
Right.
So, I mean, when other people see it, I know they get like their hands in the pot, start having like their 2 cents. Everybody got their 2 cents. Right. That brings up politics, right? So, Philly politics. Right. There's a buzz. People always say it's politics in Philly basketball. Let me ask you, do you think it's politics in Philly basketball? Do you believe that?
Definitely. And where politics come in at is, if you're not known, you're not going to get what you want, and that's the key factor to it. You need to make sure you get known and do something to get the attention. If you got to say, hey, listen, such and such ain't better than me, say it. You get what I'm saying? But make sure you put in the work in. The reason I believe and I'm good with that is because it should make you a harder worker. If you don't like how you're being treated, do something about it. But to just crowd mope about, hey, listen, I can't get on the team or in this league because they're not giving me an opportunity, what you gonna do about it? Right. So that's what I did, and when I became the guy in the city, guys respected me, but it was in the sense of they went at me, and I respect that. So in politics, if you want your respect, do something about it.
So then, those politics in Philly, how did it affect you?
Like I said, when I wasn't getting the time I felt I deserved, and guys were thinking I wasn't that good, when I started getting on the map a little bit, people would downplay me. Oh, he's not that good. He hardly played here. He only averaged this. Well, they didn't know my story. They didn't know what I had been through. So those guys that I was going through that with, they knew. Hey, listen, he could play. It's just that he ain't had his opportunity. So I knew they knew that because of the times we had in practice. So when my time came where I was on the court with them dudes, they were going to feel everything I went through growing up or coming up. So that's how the politics affected me. And then when I became what you would call the hunter, I was looking for whoever was hunting for me. So I enjoyed the politics of it. I enjoyed being hated. I loved it, and it's got me the respect I get now in the city.
Sound like it turned you into somewhat of a beast.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
All right, we're going to just go ahead and call a spade, right?
Yeah.
All right, then. So, what are some of the major challenges that our youth will face like today? Then, I mean, we talked about the things that were happening back then, and we're now like Stone Age, it seems like. But you brought up like social media, right? 2010 is kind of when that came about. Right. So, what are some of the challenges that our youth facing right now?
Today, I feel like they don't have the resources as far as if it's 20 kids, there's only enough resources for 10 of them. You know what I'm saying? So the other 10 feel mistreated or overlooked, and so they're doing things needing for attention. They may party or do these type things for attention, and they missing their parents at home. So a lot of the kids they're just doing things for attention, and the girls and social media and all that. It's at an all-time high now. Everything is on social media. Everything is on Instagram. Look at me type thing. So I feel like today, social media is probably one of the biggest things that's happening, along with everything else with poor parent, and where they're living at, poverty, so forth. So how can they be acknowledged with all that's going on? That's what we're seeing. Today, when we grew up, social media wasn't a big deal. You had friends, you played, and worst come to worst, you fought. You know? Today is like, you gotta have a gun to feel safe, and that's another thing. Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
So now think about our basketball youth, right? Like, so what are some of the challenges they're facing?
Our youth?
Yeah, some of our basketball youth, some of our young basketball players. What are some of the things they're facing that are challenges versus when we were kids playing?
Right. I feel like the challenges that they're facing now is them being embarrassed or not looking like, I would say, up to par to their peers financially. I know, like I was telling you, when I grew up, I know what it's like not to have, trust me, but I was okay with that because I could play basketball, football. Not to say play like as far as skill-wise, but I was cool with playing sports all day. A lot of us were. You could play video games, Nintendo, was it Tecmo Bowl? I could play Tecmo Bowl all day, cards, whatever. But you had house parties and all that to go to. You could dance, play rope with the girls, all that type of stuff. Well, these kids, they don't play much. They stay in the house, do whatever. And I will like to acknowledge like depression is kicking in way more. I kind of underestimated that growing up. We didn't have that growing up, where depression was a big deal. But today you can see it in these kids working in the field of education. And so these kids, the big brother programs and big sister programs are definitely something that's more needed today than our upbringing. Working with kids, it definitely gives me an insight on how important that is. So I feel like that's the biggest difference right there.
So what led you, so I mean, like, you segued us right into it, right? So what led you to be the Dean of Students, right?
Yeah.
What got you there?
So, like I was saying, I was fortunate enough that when I was playing ball professionally here, I had a friend, Hakeem Hart, who got me a gig when I sprained my ankle. I did it twice, and so I was out playing ball for like 2 months. So money slowed up. He helped me get a job working TSS, therapeutic staff support. So I had a little one-on-one with a kid, and I was making about 14, 13, up like 12, 13 back then an hour, and the kid missed me, and I was like, wow, I just noticed how important I was to the kid every day in school. So I'm like, principal, seeing how good I worked with the kids, so the principal called me in for an interview, was like, hey, would you like to be, dean of students or whatever? I'm like, huh? Like, how am I gonna do that? Like, so she helped me out, told me what classes I needed to take, what courses or whatever, and I took them while I was still playing. She paid for me to take classes or whatever, and once I had that role, I was responsible for the whole school. So I would go from being responsible for one kid to the whole school, and kids just enjoying me, my toughness to them, me helping them, showing them that I care about them, type of stuff. So they took to me, I took to them, and that's how that became about.
How did basketball help you with that? How did basketball help you with running the whole school?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So basketball, as you know, you play, there's a lot of discipline with basketball. Like I said, the chip on my shoulder relates to, if you don't have, what are you going to do to do it? If you're not respected, what are you going to do to get the respect? A lot of those intangibles and the rules and discipline that comes with basketball, you have to do in life. So, for instance, if a kid was coming late, I would ask me, what are you doing the night before that's having you come late? Are you taking school serious? So forth, so forth. Are you going to complain that your grandmom's not around or your mom or dad's not around, or are you going to adjust to it and do what you got to do? The biggest thing was the kid couldn't kick an excuse to me that I couldn't relate to. So if you told me your dad wasn't around or your mom was gone on drugs, I've been there, done that, you know what I mean? So once the kids see you can relate and you can do things to show them you care and you're not just talking, you can definitely help them. And a prime example was I had kids who was living in the inner city, pretty rough. I would go to their neighborhoods some days and be out there on the basketball courts with them, hang with them on the corners, listen to the same music they listen to, talk to them, walk to them to the corner store, eat cheese sticks with them on their steps. And once they see you care about them, you're not just saying it, it's like, oh, Mr. Fahreed said do this, I'm gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? I'll stay with them after school, I meet them before school, stuff like that. And so once they took to me in that way, and I know I had them, not doing what I asked would affect them. You get what I'm saying? Because they didn't want me disappointed. And that's the same way I was as a kid. If I had parents that were, I was one of those kids where I wouldn't want to let my dad or mom down. If, you know what I'm saying? If they were around.
Want to please.
Right. So once I sensed that from them and I became that person for them, I was cool with that. And since I'm not a social person with my basketball peers, that just wasn't me. I'm not a smile with you type person. That energy was towards the kids. You get what I'm saying? So basketball helped me a lot. The kids helped me a lot, and that's how I was able to get through.
You said you weren't a social person with your basketball friends.
Right.
Because but you grew up in that Mike era, though, right?
Yeah.
And Mike wasn't a friendly dude. Yeah, you got other stars who are far more friendly.
Right.
Yeah, how you feel about that?
I'm the same way. I feel like you should have a chip on your shoulder. If you love the sport and you're competing, it should be a good little chip, and you should have a little arguments here and there. You know what I'm saying? Because you're fighting for the win. You want to win something. That's how it should be.
And I feel like, and looking at a lot of leagues around the city, I see a lot of dudes who have that same chip, right? But that's a Philly thing. I feel like we got that chip on our shoulders. But we talk about the leagues. Let's talk about your league.
Right. Okay.
So what is it called? What's the name? Name it.
So it's the Alumni League. This is our 8th season. We've been around for 3.5 years now. I have to say this because it's warranted. Stan Grooves, he had an Alumni League a reunion each year. They would play Mansion, and each year, and I wouldn't play because I didn't get much time in high school. I still had a chip on my shoulder about them not giving me time, to the point where I didn't even want to play in the alumni game. And so this specific year, they asked me to play in it again, and before I said no, they said some other things to try to alter me to play, and I just was kind of like listening to it, and he was like, yo, Fahreed, you got to come out this year, so forth, so forth. So I said, all right, I'll come out and play. And I came out and played, and this year they had it at St. Joe's, and they had about 6 other teams, other schools rather, St. Newman, Overbrook, so forth, so forth, and they had it like a one-day tournament. And as I'm in the warm-up line, I'm thinking, I'm just like, wow, why nobody ever had an Alumni League? Like, why just a one-day tournament? And so once it hit me while I'm in the warm-up line, I'm like, I went back home, wrote some stuff down, wrote some ideas down, and I just ran with it, just took off with it. And it's been a blessing. We started off in New Jersey with 8 teams, grew to 12, grew to 16, 26, 32, 40, and that was it. That's the making of the Alumni League.
We're not gonna let you off that easy. You ain't about to tell us did a couple of things, wrote some stuff down. Because there's folks now at home listening, like with a pencil. What did you do?
Right.
So, what are some things that you need to start a successful league?
Good question. Discipline. It all goes back to discipline. Playing ball, being able to relate to ball players. I know what they like. I know what they want. My main thing when I was playing was professionalism. Is this league, firm on rules? Is it ghetto? Is it hood? Or is it ran thorough? If it's ran thorough, that's where I want to play. That's where I feel as though my game can expand more under the spotlights of where it's ran thoroughly. I don't have
Be
to
more
worry.
specific. What do you mean by is it ghetto or is it ran thorough?
Mm-hmm.
Be a little more detailed for me so
Right.
people could know what that means.
Gotcha. So as far as safety, will I get in a fight if I come there? Can I bring my daughter or my mom or my daughter's mom to the game to watch her? Will they have fun if they sitting there waiting on me, or will they be nervous, not knowing what exit to go out? So things of that nature. Will there be a fight with my mom while I brought to see me play? Will she see a fight in the court and feel scared about that type of stuff? What will happen if a fight breaks out? Will it be handled in the right way? Those type of things, and guys that come with the negativity. Sometimes the spectators want attention and they want to get on the court and show how thug they is and so forth, so forth. And it's like, this ain't for you, bro. It's for the basketball players. And I always take pride in family-oriented environments. I know me personally, like I said, me not having parents, I would have wanted my mom and dad to be at my games. I don't care what it is. If it's a rec game, whatever, I would like my mom and dad to be there if they feel like coming. So I started with that first, discipline, and how do you respond to it if and when it happens. You always want to be prepared for that, because chances are it's going to happen at some point. How do you respond to that? And those were the things, that was the foundation I wanted to start with. And after that, then it was publicity. Okay, who do you want this league to go out to? And how do they view your league, your product? I have 6 sponsors now. So to me, I visualize that as 6 companies that believe in what we're doing and they like what we're doing. So that means a lot to me, and I think my players know how serious I take the safety of the league, to the T of like your jersey being tucked in at all times. You play in the league, you heard me say jerseys tucked in. I like my players looking good and professional. I don't care if you average 2, you're gonna look good averaging 2, and when you come here, you're gonna feel safe.
Sure. So those are gems, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add about what they need?
Players.
Anybody who wants to start a league like you. What else you want to add to that?
Yeah. I would say just be conscious of where you're starting your league at. If it's best to wait until you could be in a suburban area or a better area where it's less of the nonsense, I would wait. But if you need to start in the inner city, which I totally understand, the rump started in the inner city. Just make sure you got the support you need to keep everything safe. Family members, those close to you, I would suggest you have them near you, because you're going to need that support system. Don't do nothing, don't start nothing with nobody you don't trust, and always stay true to yourself, no matter what. It'll show through your brand and what you're doing. And once the people see that, they like to do business with you.
So, what are some obstacles that you experienced on this path?
Oh man, I've noticed people turn on you, people you thought were your friends. You got that little gossip thing going on. If someone's talking about you, people don't typically say, why would you say that? What has Fahreed done to make you believe that? They kind of either go with it, say something to keep the person talking, because they want to hear what they got to say,
right,
as opposed to speaking up for you, because the person won't continue if he says something good about you. But I've been backstabbed by people a few times, but I acknowledge that as my responsibility. I learned that kind of on the job. basketball kind of makes you naive to that because you go in with a team and you got 7, 8 people with you and you're going in for a task, and that's the goal. But when you got a team and you're running a business, the other challenges you face is other businesses trying to take them people from you, and then money comes into play, and entitlement. People think because they close to you, they're entitled to the same things you are, and it's your brand, it's your business. So you got to do it with people you trust and ask them from the rip, what is your goals working with me? I think that was probably the one thing I didn't do at first, and I do that now. I acknowledge that person's goal that's working with me because everyone wants something for them in a respectful manner. They won't say it that way, but you have to understand that, hey, this person's going to work with you. What are you going to do for them? Besides you saying, hey, you and me. You know what I'm saying? So I guess you just have to figure out what's best for them and make sure they know that. And once you keep your circle tight and you're looking out for the people that's near you, you should be good. But always go in thinking, I can't fully be exposed to people around me. That's the most.
Now, if you didn't play basketball, right, like you didn't pick up a Spalding,
Mm-hmm.
ever,
Mm-hmm.
what would Fahreed be doing? Who would you be right now?
Man, you know what? And I hate to say this, but I think I'll probably be in jail or dead, man, or on the streets. Because growing up in Philly, man, like I said, drugs, guns, and violence, man, and not having my mom and dad. Becoming a man, I've learned a lot what I was missing as you grow. You get what I'm saying? And not having that man figure in North Philly with drugs around you to tell you go home and do this, that, and the third, you could easily do it. And I was tempted a whole lot. And then you got the guns. If you feel unsafe, and the safest thing to keep you from being hurt is to have a gun on you. If you use it, you're pretty much done at that point. You get what I'm saying? You're either going to be shot or you're going to kill somebody. Then you got the drugs. Hey, you're not making, your parents not around, who's going to feed you? You got to sell drugs to get money, so to speak. And growing up, I realized now, it's like, dang, you know what I mean? A lot of times, some kids could have got a job at CVS or McDonald's. They didn't have to sell drugs, you know what I'm saying? So I would say, if I didn't have basketball and football to play so much when I was little, I wouldn't have left my neighborhood. I would have been in my neighborhood with my friends on the corners. And I'm being honest, my friends to this day, dead, and they're still around the way, can't work, can't get no real job because of their record. And so it's just like, I probably would have been one of them. And when I go around my way and I visit, it's in and out, because I got real estate there, I got houses that I rent out. So when I see them in passing, I think about that. Like, I'd have been out here if it wasn't for basketball. So I honestly have to say that's probably what I would have been dead, gone, in jail.
And then you got some youth who are not going to be 6 foot ever in their life, right? Like some people, it's never going to happen for them. So their chances of making it to the NBA are slim to none, right? But is there anything else that basketball can offer them aside from making it to the NBA that they can use as they're growing and developing?
Right. I mean, that's a good question. I would say any sport you playing, when you're playing it, prepare for something on the side of basketball. I like to say there's only 450 spots in the NBA. Everyone's not going to make it. Even the people that's better than the people that's in the NBA. There's people out here better than the people that's in the NBA, but there's only 450 spots. What are you going to do if basketball don't work out for you? And it's something I wish I had analyzed sooner, because I would have been doing some of the things I'm doing now sooner, but you can always think of other things to do. Basketball is really, it's a sport with discipline when you break it down. And it's like, do you give your whole life to that sport and then you don't make it be walking around with a question mark? You don't want to be that question mark, you know what I'm saying? So find other ways you can help people. Because like I said, I found that out the long way because I didn't have that mentor, that father figure around me, or brother or sister for that matter. So just think smart and don't take the old head talk as just old head talk. Really listen to what people are trying to inform you on and think of a way outside of basketball. Basketball shouldn't be your only scapegoat.
All right, now, if you could say anything to the people, anything to the youth, anything to the people, I want you to look right here.
Okay.
Show them some love. What you got for them?
Yeah, I'd say this. Yeah, I'd say this, man. Despite anything you've been through, you can make it out of it. You just need to have discipline and really want what it is you're saying. You want to think about your family, think about the inspiration you'd want your kids to be if you weren't around. What would you want them to do if you weren't around? And prepare them for the worst, even if it ain't in sight. Just prepare them for what could happen. Therefore, they work harder. That would be my message.
All right, folks, that's it for the this segment of Wood Nichols. Who he is who you can be. Don't forget, I am you. And I'm your host, Roscoe, and that's a wrap.
Yeah. All right, man.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, yeah.